Hi everybody, it is Orchid Critique Day today and discussing what's happening this time of the year with your orchids and what you can do about any problems you might have. So I have all my orchids here. I just finished watering, and today was fertilizer and CalMag today. First I put the CalMag in the water, then I added the fertilizer, and I can pin my water schedule again under the video for those who are interested in any changes I might have made, because I'm using CalMag on every watering now except the clear water flush. So I just added that on the schedule, so if you want that or just want to add it to yours, and the amounts I use and the fertilizers I use. So let's quickly get on with that. And boy, if you were here, I could use some help to put them all back before lunch. So I have the ones not in spike over here. We'll leave these till last. There is, well, 1, 2, 3, maybe a half a dozen. The rest are all in spike. So maybe the ones on the floor here we'll deal with first, because then I won't knock them over. And of course, they are in spike. And when I critique them, when I'm watering them, I'm looking under the leaves. Some people say don't wipe under your leaves, and if you do, do it very gently. Sometimes you have to. You might find some scale along the edge or even on this vein, because quite often that's where they'll hide, and sometimes under the little curve of the tip of the leaf. So this orchid has a nice spike coming right there, and I also have a stake ready. I leave it on these. I wire it to the edge, and it's not harming any roots. It's never a problem. And the reason I use these little butterflies on them, this is called Clouds of Misty White, but the reason I put them there is sometimes if you're bending over and you're looking at your orchids, you could poke your eye. Very easily. I've heard of it happening, and that's why I put something there so that won't happen. So critiquing this orchid, everything seems good. It has lots of leaves, and as you see, it's flat, it's spiking on this side. They usually do it under 2 leaves, and even though this leaf is still growing, it gave a spike here. Now it has lots of leaves on the other side, and it still could put a spike out there too, because it's healthy. And what you want, if you want your orchid to spike, is you want lots of root and leaf growth. That is important. That is done in the spring till fall. Now we get the rewards of what we did. So I'm going to move this one into the window out of our way before I drop it. Okay, now here's another one. Now I have to rename. Some of my butterflies have fell off. Some of them, the spikes are maybe this high, and I have not spiked some of them. I wait, and you'll see as we go along what height I like before I start clipping them and how I do it. So now I have not spiked this, put a stake on this one. It is definitely growing under the 2 leaves that they usually like to grow under. 1, 2, and then a spike. Now it has lots of leaves on this side, and whether it'll decide to throw out another spike, we don't know. But you can see where the leaves, when this one was getting, quite often you might see your leaves come real small like this one, because you just repotted it. It's taken some stress, and the leaves, don't worry, because as it grows, as it's accustomed to your care and what you put it in, it will start growing bigger and bigger and healthier leaves, and not to worry about the other ones. Some of them firm up in time slightly, some of them need a little help, but there's nothing wrong with this one. And I've looked for, it's still got some water on, so I'll be putting my ceiling fan on. They love it. They really do. The ceiling fan was a good thing. So everything seems good. So I'm going to put this one back in the window, and then we can do the other ones. But that spike is too short for me to want to worry about yet. There. And when I put them back in the window, I make sure that the spike is facing the sun. Once all the flowers are out, you can bring it and put it anywhere in your house and face it any way you want. But while those flowers and spikes are growing, you want to always put it back how it was. Okay, let's critique this one. Now, as you know, I call this my Monet pot, and Jack made it out of a sewer pot. I've had it a long time, and I can show you in here. Let's see, in here. Do you see how many spikes have grown and grown and been trimmed and trimmed? It's been in here a long time, and it spikes every year. This year, this one is throwing out a beautiful long spike. There should be lots of flowers. One on this one, and one coming on this one. This got repotted this year, but I didn't take it out the pot. I shook all the bark out and then shook new bark in, so I didn't disturb it. But they're happy with this one. So there we go. I'll put this one back too. There, you get to look around when I'm running. I think I got room now to deal with the rest and just put them here one at a time. But it's good to kind of look at your orchids and know what you want to look for. Now, this spike, this one is getting long. Now, I'm going to wait till it's at least double what it is before I worry about staking it. It is growing under the 2 leaves. It has 2 leaves on this side, but some of them will not double spike. The healthier and the longer you have, and you might be lucky. Some of them, like in their ancestry, they force them, but in their ancestry, they only one spike. But we'll see as the year goes on what happens with these. But so critiquing this is you always look under the leaves. I always kind of hold mine up in the air and I look under, make sure everything's clean, but they're all nice and firm. And this orchid was a beautiful, I love this one, so I can't wait for it to flower. So we'll put that one here. Now, this is another traffic cone, but a small one. Maybe I'll take it out of the traffic cone. There. So it's just in something I found at a garage sale that will actually hold it. I don't have to worry about it falling off. I have my spike on, my stake on, ready to spike, and I'll be very shortly, very gently bringing this over. And I start out using some big clips. I got some when my hair was longer. I hate hair in my face. And I would clip it with the big ones first, where there's lots of space and I'm not putting any pressure on it. But I'm not in a hurry. It's growing the right way, but I will be putting a little clip on this one soon, and it's all ready to go. And I have one of the wires that here in Salmon Arm come with the orchid you buy, and I saved them all, and Jack brazed or welded onto one of these clamps, which I'm very happy with. So, now, these are not in any order by how I love them or not. There is a tiny little spike coming in there, and I mean tiny, but there's only 2 leaves, and this one struggled. And if it flowers, I may not leave the flower on too long and just let the plant, anything that is, any new growth is taking energy away from the plant growing in other places. So if I have one that's sad, and it's just my opinion, I usually clip the flower spike off. I might wait till it flowers and then clip it off and let this plant grow in other areas. And yes, some people say it'll absorb the nutrition, but also as new buds start coming, it also will drain the plant. So it's a very controversial thing, and this is just what I do, so don't be surprised when I show you this one at some point. So now, the more of these little baskets I find, the more I like them, but I just find the odd one at a garage sale. This one I had quite a long time ago, and I just put some of that matting, that core matting in, and it's done well. And here's a spike. I will not be staking this one because it hangs, and I'm just gonna, it has a little hook, and it hangs in the window, and I just let it do what it wants to do. So you get a close-up of everything today. So then I'll run and put them all back before lunch. Okay, now maybe I should get this big one out the way. I'll show you this side, and then I'll show you the other side. This is the orchid that, if you watched the orchid show I did at the Salmon Arm Orchid Show, it was a beautiful white orchid. And it went in and out on a windy, cold, wintry day. And it went in and out of the car and back in. And it did bother it. It didn't show right away. But it has overcome the obstacle. It did not like the cold. It has a beautiful, thick spike coming. Right there. It has lots of leaves. They're green. You can see where it struggled. It had a little leaf and grew bigger leaves. You can see where it struggled. I'm going to have a good look at them all. So some of them have sent aerial roots out. I never cut aerial roots, ever, ever, ever. Never. So I'll just put this one away. Oh, and if you noticed on that one, or just back up and have a look at it, I had a big clip, hair clip, because when I put it over, and it was about this high already, at least 6 inches, because they will break. You be very slow, gentle, and I use a big clip. I don't put any pressure, and I make sure I'm between nodes when I clip that on. So, okay, we've done those. That goes in the other room. Now, here's a Dollar Tree traffic cone. The plastic isn't as nice. It's a hard plastic, not like the bigger cones that are more rubbery. But anyway, look at this little baby has one tiny little spike coming. So I'll probably stake it. It'll be very easy to put one on. There's little holes in these ones on every corner that I didn't put there, and I left them because I thought at some time I might want to hang it, and what a better way to display it. So let's move that one there. So you get to see them all. I'm not going to hide any. We're saving the other one some till later, but okay, this is the one that when I had my kitchen cupboards done, and we don't know if Maggie knocked it over or the carpenter did, but somebody did. It lost a leaf. It broke a leaf. I had it amputate part of this one. It was quite bad, but it sealed itself over, and It's done well, and since then it just said, I want to grow leaves. I put it back in this pot. I had it in a traffic cone when it got knocked over. These are pink cans. There's the handle where the handle was. These are nice big air holes because of the size of the pot. The bigger the size of the pot, the bigger holes I like. Smaller holes. So probably because there's more media, dries easier. And all my pots, they're all in just bark now. I started out using additions of charcoal. Charcoal is good if you have a pot that tends to stay real moist, and it sweetens the pot up. I found no difference when I switched to just bark. I think you could grow it in almost anything with the right care. So anyway, this one has a nice spike coming. I have to point on it. There it is. And I've got my stake ready. I'm not in a hurry to stake it yet. Don't be in a big hurry to stake them. Now this one is one of the wires that I got that I just wound around, and then I put a tiny wire through the top hole to make sure it was extra stiff. So I think this one could have some gigantia history way back in it because of the size of the leaves and how they look. So there we go. We are going to have so many flowers for Christmas, and it's going to be just beautiful. And that's what we need after all this going on. Now before I bring this, I'll make sure. Okay. Now this is the big lip phal, my one and only big lip phal that I got on Valentine's Day, and it flowered. I put it in a traffic cone with this big experiment that failed, and I had it in a plastic pot. It was not getting any air, and all the bark started to get white. And I quickly unpotted it. I did a video of it, and it got new bark. It got put in this pot. And it's never really suffered. It's got nice new leaves coming, and it decided, even though I think I had those flowers till April or May after Valentine's Day, it's decided to spike again. So quite happy about that. So there we go. This is how it's looking. I love this one. I just love it. Of course, we love them all. We love them all. Now, if you remember, I called this one Early Bird. It started a couple months ago in flower. And it's still in flower. And it's in the one, this summer, I found this pot for $1 at a garage sale, and there was a metal tea light in it that Jack broke off, and instead of using for a tea light, I love these pots. They get air. Now, they're not photosynthetic. They have lots of leaves to photosynthesize on, and they have aerial roots that come out that they photosynthesize. The other roots might not be green, but they're healthy and they're doing really well. So I do not cut aerial roots, not even if I'm annoyed with them for a moment. Okay, we might as well look at this one. This is my, whoops. This was something from a garage sale too, and it's the same kind of pot. And lots of little aerial roots, some real long ones. And a spike. Now, if this wasn't hanging, this one I would have probably put on, it's so firm, you see, if you force them to do something they don't want to do, you're going to break it. So I like the wires because I attach them to the side of the pot. I don't have to worry about hurting roots. And then I just bend them in to where I get near where it's growing, and then bring them up. So there, that one's in spike. And Here's one that was suffering a little more. It only has 3 leaves, the poor little thing. But it does have a spike coming. And it's growing good now. It struggled for a while. And I can't remember what, this one's purple. I called it Purple Passion. So I've had it a while. And I think I changed the pot once on this one. Now this one, I remember buying this orchid, and I remember specifically picking this pot because it looked so Asian. Because this, I called it yellow cherry because it was a beautiful yellow flower with a cherry center, and I just loved it. So I'm very happy to see it is in spike. It's healthy. You can see here. I like that there's, you know, some people say, oh, there's big holes, but you know, the one thing about the big holes, when you have to repot it, the roots come back out very easy, and then you can put them back in. So they get lots of air, and you can see this one had, I don't know if you can see in there, but this one had, when I had redone it, a lot of rotten roots, and I left the little dry inner core, and I can see them in there. So it took a while, but it did well. You never know. Make sure when you're trimming your roots that you make sure they're firm, because sometimes they might be green, but when you squeeze them, they almost go flat. Those ones have to come off. Even if they're green, they're not doing anything for that orchid. And all the rotten roots, there was a lot of bad roots on this one, but you see, you're just patient and you wait. And I think also I've learned a lot more about how to pre-soak your bark, soak it for 3 days, put a little seaweed extract in it, put a little CalMag in it, and let it soak for 3 days. And then when you strain it, you can use that water to put the plant in while you're repotting it, and it's definitely been beneficial. And quite often there's some things out there that say, oh, they're good to be left dry. There's people that have left them on their counter for maybe 2-3 weeks and gone away somewhere, and they've still been growing roots while they've been gone, because there's enough humidity in the air that encourages them. That's why quite often when I mist from a distance. It just coats a mist in the air, but I also mist the pot, and it encourages root growth to come down. But they used to say you don't have to water too much, and sometimes it lets the roots heal over. And I used to believe this, but I no longer believe this. I think if I'm watering once a week, a newly repotted one in fresh bark, the water's going to drain through quickly. There's nothing else in the pot but the bark that is going to hold moisture. That's important. It's going to drain through quickly. You could do it twice a week, and less likelihood of a sulking leaf. So that's just that's just my opinion. Okay, we're getting there. I'm going to need a long handle. So now this one has a nice spike coming. Now this one is definitely ready to hook onto this. I'll just take a clip and hook it on right about here onto this, and then I'll just wait as it grows. It has beautiful aerial roots. Oops, I have about 4 tea towels on the floor and I could be slipping everywhere. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, what time is it? Oh, we might make it. We might make it. Oh boy. There we go. Okay. Okay, now, this one I didn't think had a spike, But I see it does have a little spike coming. It does have a yellow leaf. I leave these till they're completely dried up and gone, so all the nutrition goes back in the plant that it can get. Now, I'll probably let this one flower because other than this yellow leaf, it doesn't have a lot of leaves, but it's hanging in there and it's perking up. They're firm. I love firm leaves. Okay. Now, this is the orchid that this is upside down. It was a lamp, and I saw it at the thrift store, and I said to Jack, "Can you cut the top off?" Which was the bottom. Made a spot for an orchid, and in the bottom, you see that hole? Well, that's where the stem for the lamp went up, and this was the base. So he drilled some holes in because this is terracotta. And it suits this kind of smaller leafed orchid. And this one I should have probably a spike by now, but I'm not, or staked. I'm just going to let it hang over. If you have an orchid, it has lots of room to hang, then I like to do that sometimes too. So I have to go to the back. You hear wet, squishy feet. Okay. Oh, this was an interesting one. Okay, so we've definitely got our spikes. That's what we wanted. One or two, whatever, as long as there's one. But you see in here, this yellow leaf? That's why now when I water, it will sometimes, if two leaves are too close together, I put a little paper towel in there so that they can dry good. But that little leaf in between there, it just, for some reason, wasn't happy. But other than that, that's how it looks in there. So I just wanted to have a close look, and any questions, you know my email if you want to get in touch with me now. Okay, we'll put that one there. And we're getting there. Now, as you can see, I picked some cymbidiums in the greenhouse because they haven't thrown out as many stakes as last year, but there's some just starting and some were finishing. So I thought I'm going to bring them in. And they're nicely scented. They're just beautiful. So I have them here. So one last orchid, and then I'll show you something else. So all these now are in just bark. That's all they're in. They get their nutrition from their fertilizer. So this is Moonbeam. She's been in bloom for a month now, I guess. She's only got 4 leaves right now, but they're all healthy and firm. And she's got nice green roots in there. So we're doing good there. So because, the dendrobiums are out in the greenhouse because I never get enough flowers, like 2. So I thought I'm going to leave them out there till December. Then I'm going to bring them in and see what happens. So that's where they are. And if you want to, if you've been sending me pictures and I post them onto the community channel on the home page, then don't forget to go in there, look at your pictures, and answer any comments people have made. Some people want to know different things about your orchid or whatever. But if there's a question, maybe you'd be nice enough to answer it. And then people can go through and read all kinds of stuff. So it's going really good. I've had over 100 emails and posted a lot of orchids and other things, funny poem, anything to do with orchids that we all will enjoy. So the email address is Orchid, O-R-C-H-I-D, Orchid Friend, oh, just a minute, no, Carolyn, Orchid Friends, Carolyn, no S, Carolyn Orchid, I'll pin it under the video. I'm sorry, I'll pin it under the video. I can't think, I'm going to quickly show you a little closer. I don't know if you remember, I got a frame at a garage sale. I think it was just $1 or $2. And I for my granddaughter, I painted some giraffes in it. Whoop. So I painted some giraffes. I haven't put the last final coat on yet to protect it, but it turned out good. And I've also started a little box, a wooden box for crayons that I'm putting a jungle theme on to match this. So that's another project I've been working on during these times when we're all starting to get creative. And why not? I love you all, and please have a good day. Bye for now.